In 1492, Rodrigo Borgia was elected pope and took the name of Alexander VI. He was the pontiff who completed that part of the apostolic palace begun by his predecessor. The Borgia Tower was one of the most important 16th century additions to the apostolic palace. It was here that the Pope set up his private apartment. The 6 rooms making up this apartment continue through to that part of the palace built under Nicholas V. Pinturicchio, the famous Umbrian artist, was called to decorate the rooms. The result reveals the artist's great technical ability, cleverly combining gilded stucco with tempera to achieve the sparkling effect that characterizes his frescoes. In the painting, The Resurrection, in the Room of the Mysteries and of the Faith, the person kneeling in prayer before the risen Christ is the Pope himself. The idea of depicting historical characters with the likeness of contemporary personalities was fairly common at the time, and can be seen again in the fresco of the Disputation of St. Catherine of Alexandria in the Hall of the Saints. In this painting, the Emperor Maximian is depicted with the face of Cesare Borgia, while St. Catherine looks like his sister Lucrezia. To the left of the throne, behind the Emperor Andrea Paleologo, are depicted the architect Antonio da San Gallo the Elder and Pinturicchio himself. Alexander VI died in 1503. After Pius III, who reigned for only 26 days, Julius II della Rovere, nephew of Sixtus IV, ascended the throne of Peter. The 10 years of his pontificate are rightly considered the high point of Renaissance art in the Vatican. Donato Bramante was the architect who began to give form to the Pope's projects. In a few years, he demolished the ancient Constantinian basilica and planned the building of another which was to exceed its predecessor in size and splendor. The Belvedere courtyard was designed, and the medieval apostolic palace was to be given a new and imposing facade. His ambitious projects were only partly realized, but they provided the basis for the shape of the buildings we see today in the Vatican. The memory of his predecessor, Alexander VI, of whom Julius II did not approve, made the Pope decide to change the rooms of his private apartment as well. He chose an area directly above the Borgia apartment and, in 1508, called the 25-year-old Raphael to Rome to decorate them. The paintings extend throughout the 4 rooms known today as the Raphael rooms. Raphael worked on these rooms for 8 years, from 1509 to 1517. He himself painted the Stanza della Segnatura and the Stanza of Heliodorus, while overwhelmed by more commissions than he could handle, he oversaw the work on the Room of the Fire in the Borgo, which was completed with the help of his pupils, among whom were Giulio Romano and Gianfrancesco Penni. The 4th room, dedicated to the Emperor Constantine, was frescoed after Raphael's death. The rooms represent one of the finest and most grandiose cycles in Renaissance painting, both in terms of doctrinal illustration and stylist development. The main themes deal with two basic elements: the centrality of Jesus Christ in history and the church which represents him concretely in time and allows him to manifest himself visibly in the papacy. Despite his youth, Raphael revealed himself to be one of the greatest of all Italian Renaissance artists. Donato Bramante had designed the new facade for the eastern side of the Apostolic Palace, but it was Raphael, who had little architectural experience, who brought the project to completion following the great architect's premature death in 1514. The series of loggias overlooks the so-called secret garden of the popes, which would later be called the courtyard of St. Damasus. Once completed, the loggias were frescoed by Raphael and his pupils with scenes from the Old and New Testaments. This cycle of frescoes is known as Raphael's Bible. The death of Julius II was followed by the election of Pope Leo X, son of Lorenzo the Magnificent. A man of great culture and patron of the arts, the Medici Pope continued the ambitious project of his predecessor. From then on, all additions to the Apostolic Palace developed around the courtyard of St. Damasus, including those done under Pope Gregory XIII and Sixtus V. We focus our attention on two significant examples of the architecture of the time: a small portico known today as the Loggetta, and the Stufetta, or bathroom of Cardinal Bibbiena, secretary to Pope Leo X. They are small but extremely elegant buildings, decorated with mythological subjects, some of which are thought to have been painted by Raphael himself. These rooms demonstrate how, architecturally speaking, greatness is expressed by correct proportions, or divine proportions, as Renaissance men of culture used to define them. Raphael died in 1520 when he was 37 years old. Pope Leo X died a year later. Pope Clement VII subsequently called Antonio da San Gallo the Younger to carry forward the artistic and architectural projects for the Vatican and to redesign the two halls that were part of the old medieval plan. These large areas, known as the Sala Regia and the Sala Ducale, were used for official ceremonies like consistories and papal meetings with the heads of state. The Sala Regia still acts as the vestibule to the Sistine Chapel today. San Gallo not only planned the architectural restructuring, but also the grandiose stucco decoration of these halls, which was carried out by Perin del Vaga, Daniele da Volterra, and Giorgio Vasari. The monumental frescoes exalting papal authority were painted in the late Roman Mannerist style by Taddeo and Federico Zuccari, and by Giorgio Vasari. For the Sala Ducale, San Gallo designed 2 communicating rooms of different sizes. The wooden ceiling was raised to the same level as that of the adjacent Sala Regia. But it was only in 1556 that Bernini joined the 2 halls using a decorated arch like a marble curtain held up by 2 putti to make up for the difference in size. The Sala Ducale was frescoed in the Baroque style, with grotesques which alternate with motifs inspired by the fables of Phèdre, landscapes depicting the 4 seasons, and the heraldic symbols of the popes.